lovelies, I'm Brie. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about PPROM. PPROM is preterm premature rupture of membranes. Pretty much your water breaking before baby's full term. My water broke when I was 30 weeks and 5 days. I was terrified. I can't even explain how scared I was. But I woke up, saw the puddle, woke my husband up, and I said, "Cody, I think my water broke." I was really hoping maybe I just peed myself, but when I stood up, dripping. I went to the bathroom, came back out, still dripping. I'm standing there and there's a puddle surrounding me. So I called my doctor and I called my parents that they could come get my 4-year-old. My doctor called me back right away. I mean, I didn't even have pads because I wasn't expecting to give birth for another 10 weeks. So I literally had a cloth diaper liner in my pants. They sent me to the closest ER. Now, the closest ER to me doesn't have a NICU, a neonatal intensive care unit, so I wouldn't be able to deliver there. They did the test, and the test turned positive right away. I mean, she could literally see it gushing out of me when she was doing the test. So once the nurse determined that my water had definitely broken, I called my husband and my parents and updated them. My husband had our 4-year-old in the car in the parking lot while he was waiting for my parents to be able to come pick him up so that he could come be with me. So they're working on transferring me to a hospital with a neonatal intensive care unit, or a NICU. This is when they sent me down for my first of many biophysical profiles. I got a steroid injection in my thigh. It's intramuscular, so it either goes in your thigh or your butt, and oh my god, that is the most painful injection I've ever had in my entire life. It was the first of 2. That's to help support the baby's lungs. Then we also did a mag bag, or a magnesium drip. That's to help their neurodevelopment. I had to be on that for 48 hours. The magnesium gives some awful side effects. You feel really hot, kind of nauseous, just kind of weirdly out of it. And I also got a really bad headache. They didn't want to check me because they didn't want to touch my cervix and potentially jumpstart any labor. So they did with a speculum, where they put the speculum in and just look. He said he could visualize pooling and my cervix looked closed. I had 8 different people in the room with me hooking me up to stuff at the same time. But I was just really concerned about the baby. When they were finally able to transfer me, they did transfer me via an ambulance, and it was about 45 minutes away. Everything seemed to calm down a little bit once I was at the new hospital. I did get my first of many Lovenox injections in my tummy to prevent me from getting blood clots. That night, a NICU doctor came in and spoke with us and gave us our goals. Our first goal was to make it 72 hours from my water breaking. He said that the first 72 hours is the most important because of the shots that help the baby's lungs develop. At that point, the goal would be to get to 32 weeks, and the ultimate goal would get to be to 34 weeks. If at 34 weeks I didn't go into labor by myself, I would be induced. Because at that point, the risk of infection and other risks associated with your water being broken for a long time are higher than the risk of giving birth prematurely at 34 weeks. I got my second steroid shot the next day. Still painful, still awful. But once I was past that first 48 initial hours where they kind of realized, okay, she's not going into labor right away, I was able to get off the continuous monitoring. The magnesium was only for 48 hours, so I was able to get off that. I was staying hydrated, so I was able to stay off the IV fluids. The Lovenox injections were twice a day. Those are in your tummy. Once I had a little bit of spotting, they decided to switch me to the heparin because we don't want my blood too thin when you go into labor, because you already do quite a bit of bleeding. The nurses and I got along great. We would joke, we would have fun. They said they loved me. I hope they weren't lying, because I really truly loved them. The one nurse even came in and played cards with me the one time, and it was really sweet. We even had a poll on my whiteboard on whether the baby was going to be a boy or girl. They wanted me up and moving around to prevent blood clots as well. So I made myself a little track in the hospital. I put a chair here, and I had my IV pole here, and I had this there, and I walked around in this track. I had a family bring in coloring books and word searches, so I had things to do. My dad even brought me a miniature Christmas tree. My water broke on December 1st, and 34 weeks exactly would have been Christmas Eve. So while it was kind of a sweet idea to think of a Christmas baby, it was also knowing that that would take away Christmas from my 4-year-old, because if I were to be induced on Christmas Eve, both mommy and daddy wouldn't be home on Christmas, and this was supposed to be our last Christmas as a family of 3. So that was really weighing on us. How are we going to do Christmas? How are we going to keep a sense of normalcy for our 4-year-old when I'm in the hospital for weeks? I had twice daily NSTs. When the baby failed his NSTs multiple times, I would get a biophysical profile. The first time or two that it happened, it freaked me out because he failed an NST, and when I was pregnant with my first, he never failed an NST. He just didn't want to do his accelerations with his heart rate. I guess he is a stubborn baby, and he was fine every time. So I think I had about 8 biophysical profiles in the 2 weeks that I was in the hospital. They had a high-risk doctor come in and talk to me and pretty much tell me that everything was going to be okay, that they could handle whatever was going to be thrown at them at this point. And that made me feel really good, really comfortable, because he didn't even work for the hospital. He was from an outside high-risk OB office. And so for him to vouch for the hospital like that made me feel good. I had to mentally prepare myself to have a baby in the NICU. Luckily, he was ahead as far as growth, so we knew that he was going to be coming out a fairly decent weight for his gestational age, but that doesn't change their development, it's just their size. I did give birth at 32 weeks and 2 days. I'm going to do a separate video with the birth vlog because it's a whole story in itself, but just know that the baby is here, he's home, he's happy, he's healthy, he's 3 months old. PPROM is scary, but you can get through it. If you're experiencing PPROM right now, just know that you are not alone. There are tons of us, and you can do this. And one day you'll be snuggling your baby the same way I get to snuggle mine. And just think about how far you two have both come. You're both really strong, even though you don't know it yet. If you're a preemie mom, leave down below what gestation your baby came at. Make sure you do the YouTubey things, like, subscribe, do we have a bell? I don't know, I hear people talk about a bell. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, lovelies.